Today I'll discuss about the Microsoft Azure and about its function, and will complete the practical for the creating virtual machine on the Azure. Uh, Azure is a continually expanding set of cloud services that help you meet current and future businesses challenge. Azure gives you the freedom to build, manage, and deploy applications on a massive global network using your favorite tools and frameworks. What does Azure offer? With the help from Azure, you have everything you need to build your next great solution. The following list several of the benefits that Azure provides so you can easily invent with purpose. Be ready for the future. Continuous innovation from Microsoft support your deployment today and your product vision for tomorrow. Build on your terms. You have choice with a commitment to open source and support for all language and frameworks. You can build how you want and deploy where you want. Operate hybrid seamlessly on premises, in the cloud and the edge. We will meet you where you are. Integrate and manage your environments with tools and services designed for a hybrid cloud solution. Trust your cloud. Get security from ground up, backed up by a team of experts and proactive compliance tested by enterprise governance and startups. What can I do with Azure? Azure provides more than 100 services that enable you to do everything from running your existing application or virtual machine to explore new software paradigms such as intelligent bots and mixed reality. Many teams start exploring the cloud by moving their existing application to virtual machine VMs that run in Azure. Migrating your existing apps to VMs is a good start, but the cloud is much more than different place to run your VMs. For example, Azure provides artificial intelligence (AI) and machine learning ML services that can naturally communicate with your users through vision, hearing, and speech. It also provides storage solutions that dynamically grow to accommodate massive amount of data. Azure service enables solutions that aren't feasible without the power of the cloud. So get started with Azure account. To create and use Azure services. You need an Azure subscription. When you are completing learn models, most of the time a temporary subscription is created for you, which runs in an environment called a Learn Sandbox. When you are working with your own application and business needs, you need to create an Azure account, and a subscription will be created for you. After you created an Azure account, you are free to create additional subscription. For example, your company might use a single Azure account for your business and separate subscription for deployment, marketing, and sales department. After you have created an Azure subscription, you can start creating Azure resource within each subscription. So here is the example of the Azure account. Once you created the Azure account, you can take the subscription like as per chart. Again, under the subscription, you can create a resource group, and this is the sign. This is the sign for the Azure group, and this sign belongs the Azure account, and this is belong from resources. So once you have taken the created Azure account, you can take a subscription. Under subscription, first thing you will create the resource group, and after resource group, you can deploy the resources. So you can sign up for a free account on the Azure website to start exploring at no cost to you. When you are ready, you can choose to upgrade your free account. You can also create a new subscription that enable to start paying for Azure services. So one more thing I would like to add that you can create Azure for the creating Azure account. You need the credit card, and Microsoft will charge rupees 2 for the verifying verifying your identity. Then it will be reversed back in your account within 2 working days. So there is a other option at create Azure account. You can purchase Azure's access directly from Microsoft by signing up on the Azure website or through Microsoft representative. Means you have the both option. Either you can purchase the Azure from the website directly, or you can go through the vendor or the Microsoft representative. What is Azure free account? The Azure account includes free access to popular Azure product for 12 months, a credit to use for the first 30 days, access to more than 25 products that are always free. Azure, the Azure free account is an excellent way for new users to get started and explore. To sign up, you need a phone number, a credit card, and a Microsoft or GitHub account. The credit card information is used for identity verification only. You won't be charged for any service until you upgrade to a paid subscription. Here he has mentioned the Microsoft account or GitHub account. So don't be confused. You can use your Gmail or Outlook account for creating the Azure account. What is the Azure Free Student account? The Azure Free Student account offer includes free access to certain Azure service for 12 months, a credit to use in the first 12 months, free access to certain software developer tools. A Azure Free Student account is an offer for a student that gives $100 credit and free developer tools. Also, you can sign up without a credit card. This is the intro about the sandbox. Many of the learn exercise use a technology called the sandbox, which create a temporary subscription that added to your Azure account. The temporary subscription allow you to create Azure resource during a learn model. Learn automatically cleans up the temporary resources for you after you have completed this model. When you are completing a learn model, you are welcome to use personal subscription to complete the exercises in a module. However, the sandbox is the preferred method to use because it allows you to create and test Azure resource at no cost. So when you are going to start the Microsoft Learn from the Microsoft website, there is an option for complete the exercise that is called a sandbox. Describe Azure physical infrastructure. Throughout your journey with Microsoft Azure, you will hear and use terms like regions, availability zones, resources, subscription, and more. This model focuses on the core architecture component of Azure. The core architectural component of Azure may be broken down into two main groupings: the physical infrastructure and the management infrastructure. The physical infrastructure for Azure start with data center. Conceptually, the data center are the same as large corporate data center. They are facilities with resource arranged in rack with dedicated power, cooling, and networking infrastructure. As a global cloud provider, Azure has data center around the world. However, these individual data centers aren't directly accessible. Physical infrastructure. Throughout your journey with Microsoft Azure, you will hear and use terms like regions, availability zones, resources, subscription, and more. This model focuses on the core architectural component of Azure. The core architectural component of Azure may be broken down into two main groupings, the physical infrastructure and the management infrastructure. Before go ahead, we are giving you few example about the physical infrastructure. And as you are working at it, you have shown that the IT infrastructure are deployed into the separate room. There you can see the servers, power supply, UPS, switches, everything. Means that is the physical. You can touch and see the behavior of the physical equipment. So the physical infrastructure of Azure start with data center. As you have the physical infrastructure and Azure have the same. Conceptually, the data center are the same as large corporate data center. They are facilities with resource arranged in rack with dedicated power, cooling, and networking infrastructure. As a global cloud provider, Azure has data center around the world. However, these individual data centers aren't directly accessible. Data centers are grouped into Azure regions or Azure availability zones that are designed to help you achieve resiliency and reliability of your business's critical workload. The global infrastructure side gives you a chance to interactively explore the underlying Azure infrastructure. Region. What is region? Region is a geographical area on the planet that contain at least one but potentially multiple data centers that are nearby and networked together with a low latency network. Azure intelligently assign and control the resources within each region to ensure workload and appropriately balance. When you deploy a resource in Azure, you will often need to choose the region where you want your resource deployed. So, availability zone. Availability zone are physical separate data center with Azure region. Each availability zone is made up of one more data center equipment with independent power, cooling, and networking. An availability zone is set up to be an isolation boundary. If one zone goes down, the other continues working. Availability zones are connected through high-speed private fiber optic networks. So Azure region. This is the boundary uh, which is called the Azure region, and under the Azure region you find the multiple Azure zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. So each zone which connected with the high speed private fabric wire. This time suppose zone 2 is down, so client will receive the service from zone 1 or zone 3 which is nearby. If suppose zone 3 down, same scenario, client will receive the service either from zone 1 or zone 2, whichever is nearest. Use availability zones in your apps. You want to ensure your service and data are redundant, so you can protect your information in case of failure. When your host your infrastructure, setting up your redundancy require that you create duplicate hardware environment. Azure can help make your app highly available through availability zones. You can use availability zone to run mission critical application and build high availability into your application architecture by co-locating your compute, storage, networking, and data resource within an availability zone and replicating in other availability zones. Keep in mind that there could be a cost to duplicating your service and transferring data between availability zone. Availability zone is primary for VMs, managed disk, load balancer, and SQL database. Azure services that support availability zone fall into three categories. Zonal services, your pin the resource to a specific zone. Example, VMs manage disk IP address. Zone redundant service, the platform replicate automatically across zone. For example, zone redundant storage, SQL database. Non-regional service are always available from Azure geographics and resilient to zone-wide outage as well as region-wide outage. Even with the additional resiliency that availability zone provide, it is possible that an event could be so large and it impact multiple availability zone in a single region. To provide even further resilience, Azure has a region pairs. What is region pairs? Most Azure regions are paired with another region with the same geography such as Europe or Asia, at least 300 miles away. This approach allows for the replication of the resource across a geography that helps reduce the likelihood of interrupting because of events such as natural disaster, civil unrest, power outage, or physical network outage that affect an entire region. For example, if a region in a pair was affected by a natural disaster, service could automatically fail over to the other region in its region pair. So Microsoft had created the region in the global world. In India, India has one region, South Asia, and just example of the East US, South US. So each region are paired together. Suppose India region is down, so client will receive services from the US region which you are nearby the client service. Example of region pairs. Here is the few example of region pairs as geography. This is the Azure region and Azure region. Under the Azure region, we have a 2 to 3 availability zone, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Each zone are connected using the fiber cable. So, and the zone are connected with both zone are directly connected with each other. Additionally, advantage of region pairs. So what is the benefit with the region pairs? If an extensive Azure outage occurs, one region out of every pair is prioritized to make sure at least one is restored as quickly as possible for application hosted in the region pairs. So suppose India region and US region are paired, and for the any region, US region has go down. So services will quickly start from the Indian region. Planned Azure update are roll out to paired region, one region at time to minimize downtime and risk of application outage. So there is another benefit. Suppose we are going to upgrade any hardware and the other thing. So we can plan region by region to upgrade and update. Data continue to reside within the same geography as its pair, except for Brazil South for tax and the law enforcement jurisdiction purpose. In addition to regular region, Azure also has servo regions. Regions are instances of Azure that are isolated from the main instance of Azure. You may need to use a sub-region for compliance and legal purpose. Azure regions include US DoD Central, US Government Virginia, US Government Iowa, and more. These regions are physical and logical network isolated instance for Azure for US government agencies and partners. These data centers are operated by screened US personnel and include additional compliance certification. China East, China North, and more. These regions are leveled through a unique partnership between Microsoft and 21 VNet, whereby Microsoft doesn't directly maintain the data center. Describe Azure Management Infrastructure. So we have finished the physical infrastructure. Now we are going to describe the management infrastructure. The management infrastructure include Azure resource and resource group subscription and accounts. Understanding the hierarchical organization will help you plan your project and product within Azure. When you create a subscription, first thing you have to create under that subscription is resource group. Azure resource and resource group. A resource is the basic building block of Azure. Anything you create, provision, deploy, etc. in is a resource. Means anything you are creating under the Azure subscription, that is resource. As example, virtual machine, virtual network, database, cognitive services, etc. all are considered resource within Azure. Resource group. Resource group are simply grouping of resource. When you create a resource, you are required to place it into resource group. So suppose you are going to create a VM. So the question is where you will keep the VM. So so for keeping VM or your resources, first you will create the resource group where you can keep your instances. So while a resource group can contain many resources, a single resource can only be in a resource group at a time. Means either you have a multiple resource or a single resource. You have to always keep in a group. Some resource may be moved between resource group, but when you move a resource to a new group, it will no longer be associated with the former group. Suppose you have created resource group A and B, and you have created one VM resource A, and you are moving the VM from resource A to B. So once it moved, VM will be not the part of the resource A. Additionally, resource group can't be nested, meaning you can't put resource group B inside of resource group A. Nested in the sense means you this is saying that suppose you have created a resource group named RG1 and you want to create one more resource group under RG1, so that is not possible. So same thing he is saying, the nested is not possible in the scenario of resource group. Resource group provide a convenient way to group resource together. When you apply an action to resource group, that action will apply to all resources within the resource group. If you delete a resource group, all resources will be deleted. If you grant or deny access to resource group, you have granted or denied access to all the resources within the resource group. It's talking about the permission. Suppose you are granting permission on the resource group, so the all resourceable will be take the permission, granting permission under the resource group. If you are denying the permission on the resource group, so those resources which is applicable on the resource group, that will be permission will be automatically denied. When you are provisioning resource, it is good to think about the resource group structure that best suit your needs. For example, if you are setting up a temporary environment, grouping all the resource together means you can deprovision all of the associated resource at one by deleting the resource group. If you are provisioning compute resource that will need three different access schemas, It may be best to group resource based on the SS schema and then assign SS at resource group level. There aren't had rules about you use resource groups, so consider how to set up your resource group to maximum these useful for you. Azure subscription. In Azure subscription, Azure subscription are a unit of management, billing and scale, similar to how resource group are a way to logically organize resource. Subscription allow you to logically organize your resource group and facilities. Suppose you have created the Azure account. Here you have taken the three subscription, one for the development, second for the testing, second for the testing, and third for the production department. Azure subscription provide you the authenticated and authorized access to Azure product and service. It allow you to provision resource and Azure subscription like to an Azure account, which is an identity in Microsoft Intra ID or in a directory that Microsoft Intra ID trust. An account can have multiple subscriptions, but it is only required to have one. In a multi-subscription account, you can use subscription to configure different billing model and apply different access management policies. You can use Azure subscription to define boundaries around Azure products, services and resources. There are two types of subscription boundary and that you can use. Billing boundary, the subscription type determines how an Azure account is billed for using Azure. You can create multiple subscription for different types of billing requirements. Azure generates separate billing reports and invoice for each subscription so that you can organize and manage cost. Access control boundaries. Azure applies access management policies at the subscription level, and you can create separate subscription to reflect different organizational structure. An example is that within a business you have a different department to which you apply distinct Azure subscription policy. This billing code model allow you to manage and control access to the resource that uses provisions with the specific subscription. Create additional Azure subscription. You can create additional Azure subscription similar to using resource group to separate resource by functioning or access. You might want to create additional subscription for resource or billing management purpose. For example, you might choose to create additional subscription to separate environment. You can choose to create a subscription to set up separate environment for the development and testing, security or isolated data for compliance region. This design is particularly useful because resource access control occurs at the subscription level. Organizational structure. You can create subscription to reflect different organizational structure. For example, you could limit one team to lower cost resource while allowing the IT department a full range. This design allows you to manage and control access to the resource that uses provision within each subscription. Billing. You can create additional subscription for billing purpose. Because costs are first aggregated at the subscription level, you might want to create subscription to manage and track costs based on your needs. For instance, you might want to create one subscription for your production workload and another subscription for your deployment and testing workload. What are Azure management groups? The final piece is the management group. Resources are gathered into resource group and resource groups are gathered into subscription. If you are just starting in Azure, that might seem like enough hierarchy to keep things organized, but imagine if you are dealing with multiple applications, multiple development teams and multiple geographics. If you have many subscriptions, you might need a way to efficiently manage access policy and compliance for those subscriptions. Azure Management Group provide a level of scope above subscription. Your organization subscription into containers called management group. and apply governance conditions to management groups. All subscriptions within the management groups automatically inherit the condition applied to the management group, the same way that resource group inherit setting from subscription and resource inherit from resource group. Management groups give you enterprise get management at the large scale. No matter what types of subscription you might have, managed group can be nested. So here is the hierarchy, uh, so which is showing the what is management group and how it work. You can build flexible structure of management group and subscription to organize your resource into a hierarchy for unified policy and asset management. The following diagram shows an example of creating a hierarchy of governance by using management group. So this is the top of the label root management group. Under the management group, you can create a further management group, and you can take the subscription as display in the picture. There are the three management group: human resources, IT and marketing. So these management group under coming under the root management group, and there are two subscriptions. Again, going ahead, human resource have taken the one subscription group, development and testing, and again created one management group for application. In the IT, created a sub management group production, and production create a sub management group geo region 1 and geo region 2. So Geo Region 1 taken a 2 subscription, and Geo Region 2 taken a 3 subscription. Again, marketing marketing is nested under the root management group, and marketing has taken the 2 subscription: free trial subscription or subscription. Create a hierarchy that applies policy. Create a hierarchy that applies a policy. You could limit VM location to the US West region in a group called production. This policy will inherit into the subscription that are descendants of that management groups, and will apply to all VM under those subscriptions. These security policy can't be altered by the resource or subscription owner, which allow for improving governance. Provide user access to a multiple subscription. By moving multiple subscription under a management group, you can create a Azure role-based access control, Azure RBAC. We are discuss more about the RBAC in the next practice session. So assignment on the management group. Assigning Azure RBAC at the management group level means that all sub management groups, subscription, resource group, and resource underhand that management group would also inherit those permissions. Once assignment on the management group can enable user to have access to everything they need instead of subscription. Azure RBAC our different subscription. Important fact that management groups 10,000 management groups can be supported in single directory. A management group tree can support up to 6 level of depth. This limit doesn't include a root level of subscription level. Each management group and subscription can support only one parent.